being so persistent to drag me into this, but she really didn't have to drag me into this. For artists of my generation who either met Gordon Parks or who worked with Gordon Parks, he was a primary source of inspiration in many, many different ways. I don't know if you all have seen this, but in the last couple of days, there was an article in the New York Times about Gordon Parks and his collaboration with other African American artists. In particular, the article focused on his relationship to Ralph Ellison. Ralph Ellison, the author of Invisible Man, one of the great novels of the 20th century. Gordon Parks and Ralph Ellison worked together on a couple different projects. They were contemporaries, they hung out together, and they made art together. And if anything, one of the things I want to tap is that spirit of collaboration as we go through this. Now, I may be the lead artist on this, but that's more like a conductor. What I hope to do is to do also what Gordon Parks did, and that's to work with younger artists, work with emerging artists on this. And so I hope to be a conductor / composer, working with this band, working with this bad band that will be able to create this piece of music together on the streets here. And as Dave Thune pointed out, you know, this thing has expanded. At one point, we were talking about a small corner of the Landmark Plaza. And believe it or not, I was with Jack Becker yesterday, and we were talking about, I was telling him I'm coming back in town. We were in Philadelphia together. And we had dinner last night. I told him I'm coming back in town for this. Jack Becker, who was the head of Forecast Public Artworks and will help manage this process. I was saying, Jack, how did this thing get so big? And he said, this is what we should be doing. We should think big. We need to really be big thinkers on this. And there's no way that I can do this by myself. So I need this entire community. I need everybody here in this room to work with us on this. And, you know, kind of in closing, I have to leave here to go attend another reception in Minneapolis for a group of emerging African American artists. Tacumba Aiken, you know, another longtime artist here in St. Paul, and I have been working with this group of folks, once again, acting as conductors. I mean, we're now at a point in our careers where we need to pass on information and knowledge, and we were just talking in the back of the room, you know, I want to spend more time fishing too. And so in order to do that, we need a cadre of folks that can come up and assume this mantle, and sometimes burden that we still have to carry on and on. But kind of in closing, I want to also talk about this process, because I was one of these emerging artists. Inner City Youth League was this grand and great cultural incubator for so many folks of my generation, including this brother here. I mean, Kakaya was one of these folks that came out of Inner City Youth League. We were all kind of in residence. You know, while I had formal training, I had all of this informal training with all of these folks that were around me. I mean, sometimes it was an education just listening to Cush Bay and Alvin Carter arguing back and forth, you know, about their different positions on art. I mean, that was an education for me. And so we all kind of grew up together there and worked along these lines, and hopefully we can work again to help create this piece. And we will. We were going to do that. And so we're going to open up to all of you all, to folks like James Garrett and his firm. I mean, there's no way that we can do this now at this scale without an architect of record. And so And we're going to need somebody to help push that again, like who has the insistence and persistence of Robin. And so with all of that, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you all for listening to me drone on, and really open it up to hear this brother drop wisdom on us here about Gordon and his time.